What if I told you that the difference between $100 and $500,000 is not luck? It's not having a rich family. It's not winning the lottery. And it's definitely not some secret investment trick that only wealthy people know. The truth is much simpler. The biggest difference between people who build wealth and people who struggle financially is often one thing: time. Meet Jack. Jack is an ordinary guy. He works a normal job. He pays bills. He buys groceries. And just like millions of other people, he once believed that building real wealth required a lot of money. For years, he told himself the same story. I'll start investing when I make more money. I'll start next year. I'll start when the timing is better. But one day, Jack realized something important. The perfect moment never comes. So instead of waiting, he started with what he had. Just $100. Not $1,000. Not $10,000. Just $100. Most people would look at that amount and think it doesn't matter. What can $100 possibly do? Can't buy a house. It can't make you rich overnight. It can't change your life tomorrow. But Jack wasn't focused on tomorrow. He was focused on the future. Because successful investors understand something that most people ignore. Small beginnings can create massive results when combined with consistency and time. Think about a tiny seed. When you first plant it, it looks insignificant. But given enough time, that small seed can become a giant tree. Investing works the same way. At first, growth is almost invisible. Then it becomes noticeable. And eventually, it becomes powerful. Today, we're going to follow Jack's journey from a simple $100 investment toward a portfolio worth $500,000. No shortcuts, no gambling, no hype. Just a strategy built on patience, discipline, and the incredible power of compound growth. And by the end of this video, you may never look at a single dollar the same way again. So, Jack made his first investment. Just $100. Nothing dramatic happened. The next day, he wasn't richer. The next week, he didn't become a millionaire. And that's exactly why most people quit. They expect instant results. They want their money to double overnight. But real wealth doesn't work that way. The first stage of investing is often the hardest. Not because you're losing money, but because it feels like nothing is happening. Every month, Jack added a little more. Some months it was $20. Some months it was $50. And whenever he could, he invested even more. The amounts weren't impressive, but his consistency was. While other people spent money on things they quickly forgot, Jack was quietly buying assets, month after month, year after year. Slowly, his portfolio began to grow. At first, the gains were small, a few dollars here, a few dollars there, nothing exciting. But then something interesting happened. His investments started generating returns, and those returns started generating their own returns. This is where compound growth begins to work. Imagine hiring an employee. At first, you have only one worker, but then that worker hires another worker, and then those workers hire even more workers. Soon, an entire team is working for you. That's how compounding works. Your money starts making money, then that money starts making money, and over time, the growth becomes larger and larger. Jack wasn't checking his portfolio every hour. He wasn't trying to predict the market. He wasn't chasing the latest trend. Instead, he focused on one simple habit: keep investing, no matter what. When the market went up, he invested. When the market went down, he invested. When financial news looked scary, he invested. Because Jack understood something powerful: the market rewards patience. Most people focus on today's price. Successful investors focus on the next 10 years. After several years, Jack noticed something incredible. His portfolio was growing faster than his contributions. For the first time, his money was doing more work than he was. And that changed everything. Because once your investments begin working harder than you do, wealth creation accelerates. This is the point where many ordinary investors begin seeing extraordinary results. And for Jack, this was only the beginning. The journey from $100 to $500,000 was no longer a dream. It was becoming a reality. Approximately equal 3 minutes. At this point, Jack was doing something that most people never do. He stayed consistent. And believe it or not, that's where most people fail. Not because investing is difficult, not because building wealth is impossible, but because patience is rare. Most people start investing with excitement. They watch a few videos, they open an account, They make their first investment, and for a few weeks, they feel motivated. Then reality arrives. The portfolio doesn't double. The market doesn't make them rich overnight. And suddenly, they begin questioning everything. Is this really working? Should I try something else? Maybe I need a faster way. That's when many people make the biggest financial mistake of their lives. They quit too early. Imagine planting a tree. You water it every week. You protect it from storms. You take care of it for months. Then one day, you get impatient and dig it up to check the roots. Of course, the tree never grows. Investing works the same way. The people who constantly stop and start never give their money enough time to grow. Jack understood this. He knew that wealth is not built in days. It's built in years. While many investors were chasing the newest trends, Jack stayed focused. Every year there seemed to be a new opportunity. A hot stock, a new cryptocurrency, a get-rich-quick strategy. Everyone around him was talking about easy money. Some people made huge gains, at least for a while, but many of those gains disappeared just as quickly as they arrived. Jack chose a different path. Instead of chasing excitement, he chased consistency. Instead of looking for shortcuts, he followed a plan. And little by little, that decision started separating him from the crowd. Years passed. His portfolio continued growing, not because he was smarter than everyone else, not because he could predict the market, but because he kept showing up, month after month, year after year. Then something incredible happened. The habits that once felt small started producing big results. The investments he made years ago were now generating significant growth. For the first time, Jack realized something powerful. Success wasn't about finding the perfect investment. Success was about staying invested long enough. That's when his confidence changed. He stopped worrying about daily market movements. He stopped comparing himself to other people. And he stopped looking for shortcuts. Because now he could see the bigger picture. The path to $500,000 wasn't built on luck. It was built on discipline. And every day he stayed committed. He moved one step closer to financial freedom. The amazing part, he was still just getting started. By now, something incredible was happening in Jack's life. For years, he had invested consistently, not because it was exciting, not because it promised quick riches, but because he trusted the process. And now, for the first time, he could clearly see the results. When Jack first started, every dollar in his portfolio came from his own pocket. The gains felt small. The progress felt slow. Sometimes it even felt like nothing was happening. But after years of staying committed, something changed. His portfolio started growing faster than his contributions. This is where compound growth becomes powerful. In the beginning, you're building the engine. Later, the engine starts working for you. Every dollar invested began generating returns. Those returns generated even more returns. And over time, the growth became larger and larger. What once seemed impossible started looking realistic. Jack no longer worried about daily market movements. A bad day in the market didn't bother him. A bad week didn't scare him. He understood that short-term volatility is normal. What mattered was the long-term trend. While many people reacted emotionally to every headline, Jack stayed focused. When markets dropped, he continued investing. When markets recovered, his portfolio became even stronger. That simple habit gave him an advantage over most investors. Year after year, his confidence grew, not because he could predict the future, but because he could see the results of consistency. His portfolio crossed milestone after milestone. First $1,000, then $5,000, then $10,000. Each new level felt exciting, but more importantly, each milestone proved that the strategy worked. The amazing part was that Jack wasn't doing anything complicated. He wasn't trading every day. He wasn't chasing trends. He wasn't trying to find the next big thing. Instead, he focused on 3 simple rules. Invest regularly. Stay patient. Ignore the noise. Those habits may sound simple, but over time, they became incredibly powerful. Most people underestimate what can happen in 10 years, and they completely underestimate what can happen in 20 years. Jack was finally seeing the rewards of long-term thinking. His portfolio had become a wealth-building machine. Every year it generated more growth than the year before, and the bigger it became, the faster it continued growing. That's when Jack realized something important. Financial freedom doesn't come from one lucky investment. It comes from hundreds of smart decisions repeated over time. And because he stayed committed, when others gave up, he was now getting closer to his biggest goal. The goal that started with just $100. The goal of building a portfolio worth $500,000. And for the first time, that goal felt closer than ever. After years of discipline, patience, and consistency, Jack was closer than ever to his goal. What once felt impossible was now becoming reality. His portfolio wasn't just growing anymore. It was working for him. Every month, dividends arrived. Every year, the income increased. And for the first time, Jack realized that money could create freedom. Most people spend their entire lives trading time for money. They work hard. They earn a paycheck. They pay their bills. And then they repeat the cycle again and again. Jack used to live that way too. But now something was different. His investments were creating income even while he slept. Even while he spent time with family. Even while he enjoyed life. That changed the way he thought about wealth. Because true wealth isn't about owning expensive things. It's about having choices. The choice to work because you want to, not because you have to. The choice to spend more time with the people you love. The choice to enjoy life without constantly worrying about money. As the years passed, Jack's portfolio continued growing. The numbers became larger, the dividends became stronger, and the gap between his expenses and investment income became smaller. Eventually, something incredible happened. His investments started covering a meaningful portion of his living expenses. Then they covered even more. And little by little, financial independence moved from a dream to a realistic goal. People around him began asking questions. How did you do it? What stock made you rich? What secret strategy did you use? But Jack's answer was always simple. There was no secret. There was no lucky break. There was no magic formula. Just patience, consistency, and time. The same principles available to everyone. That's what made his story powerful. He didn't start with thousands of dollars every month. He didn't have a huge inheritance. He started with only $100. And he kept going. When things were slow, he kept investing. When markets were uncertain, he kept investing. When others gave up, he stayed committed. And now those small decisions had created something extraordinary. A portfolio moving steadily toward $500,000. A portfolio capable of generating meaningful income. A portfolio that represented years of discipline and smart choices. And the best part, his journey proved that ordinary people can achieve extraordinary results. Not through luck, not through shortcuts, but through consistency over time. Because in the end, building wealth isn't about how fast you start. It's about how long you're willing to stay in the game. Jack's journey started with just $100. At the beginning, that amount seemed too small to matter. Most people would have ignored it. Most people would have waited for the perfect moment. But Jack understood something important. The size of your first investment is not what determines your future. Your consistency does. Year after year, he continued investing. Not because he knew exactly what the market would do. Not because he could predict the future. But because he believed in the power of time. And time rewarded him. The small investments became larger investments. The larger investments created larger returns. And eventually, those returns created meaningful income. That's how wealth is built. Not in a single day, not in a single year, but through thousands of small decisions repeated over time. Today, many people believe financial freedom is only for the rich. They think you need a huge salary, a perfect investment, or some special advantage. But Jack's story proves otherwise. The truth is simple. Anyone can start. Anyone can learn. Anyone can build better financial habits. The hardest part is taking the first step, because once you begin, time becomes your greatest asset. Every year you wait is a year of growth you can never get back. That's why successful investors focus on starting early. Even small amounts matter. Even slow progress matters. Because progress is still progress. Jack didn't become successful because he was lucky. He became successful because he stayed committed. When others quit, he continued. When others chased shortcuts, he stayed patient. And when others focused on today, he focused on the future. That decision changed everything. So the real question isn't whether you can start with $100. The real question is whether you're willing to stay consistent long enough to see the results. Because financial freedom isn't reserved for a select few. It's available to those who are willing to be patient, those who are willing to learn, and those who are willing to stay invested for the long run. Jack's story may be ending here, but your story is just beginning. The choice is yours. Start today, stay consistent, and let time do the rest.